Suresh from RoHS Impact. It's a great pleasure here, and thanks to you all listening to showing up your aspiration to complete the regulations part of it, regulation part of your business. And thanks to EFI for giving me an opportunity to share some of the regulations coming up, and more specifically on European regulations. Dr. Chaudhary already talked about some of the things. What I would be doing is getting to why these regulations are coming up, how does it matter to you as a electrical and electronic equipment manufacturers or distributors or a vendor, things like that. So my discussion would cover what is about RoHS cost and why that came into existence now. What's the difference with respect to RoHS 1, which was actually been there for some time. All of you, I'm sure, quite familiar with RoHS the last 7 years. And then I'll touch upon the timelines, which are very critical to your business and your supply chain. And finally, I'll touch upon exemptions. After that, I'll give you a brief background of how you all, as a company, is associated with RoHS testing and certification. Right? All right. RoHS 2. Let's first look at why is that RoHS recost came into existence. It was aimed to bring some more clarity in regulations, some more clarity, and also there were some disparities among European Union member states. There are about 25 member states in the European Union, and in the way they were implementing the measures to control RoHS in the based electrical and electronic equipments were different. And so the European Union together came to a level that you can understand and bring homogeneity among the member states, and also to adapt to the scientific and technological progress happening in hazardous substances, which have been described, 6 elements that Dr. Chaudhary already talked about, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. So what are the how to adapt those technological and scientific progress happening in the industry towards this, and also to align RoHS regulations to various other EU regulations. All of you are familiar with REACH, CE marking and things like that. So this was another purpose on which the RoHS recost, what I call it as RoHS 2, built up, and also to bring harmonization among the different member states. The reason I am also talking about more on the European RoHS 2 is Indian government has also implemented very similar e-waste regulations, and then it's going to come up and it's getting regulated since May 2012. So it's very important to understand. So it's basically e-waste regulations in India is a sort of alignment towards European Union regulations. That's the reason I'm specifically talking about the importance of RoHS recost. And we will have a closer look at what is this RoHS recost scope means to all of us. All of you may be knowing, watching how the market is growing, especially emerging market like us and China. We see all around iPads and iPods, iPhones, all the stuff around us. So it's becoming, the market is growing exponentially. So the European Union is actually expanded the scope to all electrical and electronic equipments, and brought out some important definition, clarity on the definitions, and also looked at the restriction of new substances. It's not only these 6 elements which may be harmful and which are harmful to the environment and the human health. There may be many more. So what European Union is looking at and working with the member states is to come up with some more substances which may be very harmful to our environment and our own livings, basically. So there is also a provision for review of this hazardous substances, which is due by July 2014, and so the member states would have an opportunity to discuss and review the new substances. And also on the exemptions part, as you could see, what is the obligation of manufacturers, what's the obligation you as a manufacturer to comply with the marking requirements, and what are the necessary assessments you need to provide. So these are the key differences between RoHS 1 and 2. And also coherence with other EU legislation, like I mentioned, REACH. So as you all must be knowing by this time, RoHS is very specific to electrical and electronic sector, whereas REACH covers various other substances. So there is also a alignment required of RoHS recalls towards other regulations. So that's another intent of. So these are the key differences brought out by RoHS recalls. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the definition of what's electrical and electronic equipment. So it's not something probably new to you, but just to emphasize, any equipment which is dependent on electric current or electromagnetic field to function properly, or equipment for the generation or transfer of such currents or field, and find applications wherein the voltage applied is less than 1000 volt for alternate current and 1500 for DC current. This is the definition. So, is your product falls under EE, electrical and electronic equipment? There are two things that I request you to keep in mind, which is two important criteria: a general definition of EEE, which we just seen, and a definition of dependent. Okay, there's a specific emphasis on the RoHS recall on this word dependent. So let's look at what is dependent. Dependent could be a small function, a minor element of the equipment, something like what you see on the slide, sport shoes with lights. Okay, all of us seeing that, and gas cooker with an electrical clock. So these are not primarily operated by electromagnetism or electrical current, but they have a small component of electric current or electromagnetism. So those products are also included into the RoHS 2. Okay. So some of the equipments which are not covered in RoHS 2 are equipments which are necessary to protect ourselves, something like military and defense equipments, and equipments designed to spin to space. There's a long list of exemptions, and key things are something like active implantable medical devices, photovoltaic panels, equipments which are used at pilot level or prototype level equipments, R&D equipments are not covered and are exempted from RoHS 2. So if you look at some of the key timelines, this RoHS 2 recast came into force in July 2011, and there's going to be a review and consultation by 2014. And the key thing is the member states have to implement and according to their legislations according to this January. So that means if you are exporting your products to European Union and any of the member states, your product should comply with RoHS recast. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it's sort of a starting for RoHS 2. RoHS 2, there are multiple other categories with different timelines. Starting with 2014, medical devices, monitoring and control instruments are going to be have to meet these requirements. And 2016, in vitro diagnostic medical devices. 2017 is for industrial monitoring and control instruments. And thereafter, anything which is not covered under these 9 categories, then all other equipments, except those highlighted subjects, have to meet this RoHS 2. So, another key takeaway message for all of you probably is the CE marking. Many of you might have been using CE marking. If your product has CE mark and placed in Europe market, it also has to comply with RoHS 2. And that's all about on RoHS 2. So let me quickly take you through how UL is associated with RoHS. Many of you may be knowing UL is a third-party leading certification company across the world. And so our core strength is electrical and electronic instruments evaluations. And a couple of years back, we expanded our portfolio into chemical testing, and we acquired a company called STR. All of you may be knowing. STR again have a global presence. There is one lab near to Delhi, as Manas said, wherein we are equipped with all sorts of chemical testing, textile testings, electrical and electronic instruments testing. And these are some of the UL STR capabilities. We are currently supporting on based on electrical and electronic equipment, RoHS directives, and also on other restricted substances. We conduct seminars to OEMs as our customers, and also customized program according to their needs. And run the compliance testing program not only on the components, not only on the design. It's a complete package starting from raw materials to end products. And these are some of the experience that we have. So an example is shown on the slide. The speaker and its PCB components, separated into multiple components, and then we conduct RoHS test. And so conclusion is you need to understand your product requirements and your client requirements. Please understand the high risk material that are associated with your supply chain and your products. Keep yourself updated on the regulations that are coming up, and take those into your practice. That will help you to be successful in the global electronic industry, and that's the main purpose of this expo that we have. All right, with that, thank you very much.